Hello and welcome back everyone to the latest episode of An American in Thailand, airing every Friday. And this program is broadcast from Ratchamakan University of Technology, Peranakan. I will be bringing you this program in two parts. For the first part, I will introduce a certain topic about being an American here living in Thailand. It might be about food or travel or culture, anything like that. And then we'll take a short break, and in the second part of our program, we'll get into examples and more specifics of what we're talking about. Then we'll have the news and the latest updates from the university, as always. Welcome everyone, my name is Gary Gray and I am your host for An American in Thailand. So I have been living here in Thailand for almost 8 years now. It will be 8 years in just about 1 month, less than a month from now. It will be 8 full years. I moved here on June 1st. I think it was the very first day of the month. I moved here on June 1st of 2017. So I've been here. And of course this program is going on YouTube, so you could be listening to this at any time, but we are airing this for its first time in May of 2025. So this will be so I've been here almost exactly 8 years that I have been living here in Thailand, and I am an English teacher here at Ratchamakan University of Technology, Peranakan. And I have been working here at the university ever since I moved here. So I've been working here for about 8 years. And because I've been here so long, I've been here long enough that I'm used to the culture. I'm used to Thailand. I am a little bit of a homebody, so I don't go out a lot. So there are still things I haven't seen, haven't done, places I haven't been yet. For example, I have not been to the southern part of Thailand, down towards Malaysia. I've not been down there. I would really like to go. In fact, I haven't even been to Malaysia. And I would like to go there as well. I've been to almost every country in Eastern Asia. Several of them more than once. I've been to Vietnam 3 times. I've been to China 5 or 6 times. I've been to Laos, I don't know, maybe 10 times. I don't know, a lot. Well, probably not 10. 5, 6, 7 times. I've been to Cambodia 2 or 3 times. I think probably 3. I've been to Myanmar twice. It's a little hard to go there now because of their government situation, but I've been there twice. So I have been all over Asia, especially Eastern Asia. Not so much Western Asia, like the Middle East, that part of the world. Never been to India. So I'm talking about mostly East Asia. So I have traveled around a lot, but like I said, a little bit of a homebody. So I haven't seen every part of Thailand yet. So I still have things to learn. So I can't be 100% sure of what my favorite place or part of Thailand is, but I've seen enough that I think I know. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about ISAN, which is my favorite area of Thailand. So you may wonder why. Why is it my favorite area? Most people, especially most foreigners who are coming to Thailand, their favorite places are going to be down near the beach. Whether it's Phuket or Pattaya or the many islands that we have here. Someplace like that. That's going to be where most people would say is where they want to go. So why do I pick ISAN. Okay. So first of all, one of the reasons I don't pick the beaches, let me explain that first, is that I moved to Thailand because I like Thailand. I like the Thai people, the Thai culture, things like that. And so I actually don't like to be where a lot of the foreigners are. Sure, it makes it easier, because I still, even after 8 years, cannot speak Thai. Just nidnoi, nidnoi. So it's easier being in a place where there's a lot of foreigners, because speaking English, it's easier. It's easier to get by if you're in a place where there's a lot of foreigners. Because most people are going to speak English because that's the common language, even if the foreigner themselves may not be English. It's just the common language because it's the most popular language in the whole world, so that's the common language that everyone can get by with. Not that everyone speaks it well. I'm an English teacher here in Thailand, so some of my students don't speak English that well. That's why they're studying it, trying to learn it, get better. So not that everyone can speak it or speak it well, but generally, if you're in an area with a lot of tourists, it's going to be easier to speak English. But even with that advantage, I still don't really like it. As I said, I moved here because I like the culture, like the people, so I prefer to be in an area where there's not so many foreigners. And that's why I don't really prefer the beaches. I mean, the beaches are beautiful. I like going there. But I would prefer to go in the off season, in the down season, and I would prefer to go to places that maybe aren't quite so touristy. I recently went to the beach, actually, and I went there mistakenly not realizing that it was Chinese New Year's. So a lot of people from China were visiting, and so it was very crowded. Lots of foreigners. They weren't white foreigners like me. It was a lot of Chinese people, but they were still foreigners. So lots of very crowded. Lots of foreigners. It was not the best time to go to the beach. I still enjoyed it. Like I said, the beaches here are beautiful. So it's not like I don't like going to the beach. It's just not my favorite place here in Thailand. So why is ISAN my favorite place? Well, there are several reasons. And as you know, with the format of this program, we might get into more details in the second half. But I'll still give you some idea here in the first half of what it is that I like about ISAN. First of all, I like the people. I find that just about everyone in Thailand is nice, polite. But the people of ISAN have kind of there's a stereotype, which stereotypes generally aren't good. There's this stereotype that they are even a little bit more polite up in ISAN. Now, stereotypes are generally not good because they're a lot of times they're not really true, or there may be some basis of truth for them, but not everyone is going to fit. And sure, in ISAN, I'm sure there are bad people just like there are anywhere else. So, yeah. So we shouldn't stereotype like that. But generally, I do find it to be true. Now, again, I find most Thai people to be nice, but as far as there being any rude Thai people or mean Thai people or bad Thai people, yeah, I do see a lot more of them here in Bangkok than I do up in ISAN. So the ISAN people do seem to be a little bit friendlier, just in general. Again, not everyone. I have met some not so nice people up in ISAN as well, but generally. They tend to be a little bit more friendly. And it may just be that it may just be because it's more laid back. There aren't a lot of big cities up in ISAN. Udon is probably the biggest one, Udon Thani. And that does get me to a second thing I like about ISAN, and that is the nature. Because it doesn't have a lot of big cities, it does have a lot of nature up there. Now, maybe up in the northwest, there's even more nature because you have the hills up there. And I would probably like that as well. And I know out in Kanchanaburi, out in that way, out in that direction, there's also a lot of nature there. So there's a lot of nature everywhere, really, in Thailand. Unless you're like actually in the city, like in Bangkok. So this could kind of apply to more than one place. So ISAN isn't the only place with a lot of nature. But it is still nonetheless something that I like about ISAN. There aren't a lot of big cities. There's quite a lot of open space, quite a lot of nature. And even in the places where it's not like a forest or something like that, like you'd get out near Kanchanaburi, that area, which is out to the west. Even where you don't have something like that, the towns up in ISAN are usually fairly small. So even there, you'll have fields where there may be growing something, or just an open field, so even the towns there, the villages, are pretty small and rural, which I really like. Some people don't like that. Some people prefer the city because things are convenient. Everything is right there. I grew up in a very small town in America. My town had 3,000 people. It's about twice that size now because it's become more popular, which is still small, only 6,000 people. But my town growing up only had about 3,000 people in it. And it was actually big geographically. It was a big town. So that 3,000 people is smaller than it sounds. So it's even smaller than what you would think for there being 3,000 people, because it's a big town in area. So I come from a place with a lot of nature, so I enjoy nature. So that's another reason I like ISAN. And again, I know the nature part can apply to other parts of Thailand as well, yes. But you have to put all these things together, right? I mentioned the people. I mentioned the nature. I also like the weather more because it can actually get cool up there. Now, don't get me wrong, it's Thailand. The whole country's in the tropics. It's usually hot every single day of the year. But sometimes, especially around December, January, you can maybe get a couple of weeks up there in ISAN, especially northern ISAN. You get up near the Lao border where it gets quite cool. Even down into the single digits Celsius. I have been there multiple times when it's been in the single digits. So it gets actually almost cold for Thai people who are used to the heat more than I am. It probably is cold. For me, I come from a cold part of America, so it never really gets cold there by my standards. But it gets pretty close. Even I have gotten pretty chilly up there. So you can get some cool weather up there sometimes. So that's another thing I like about ISAN, is the weather. And the other thing I like is the culture. Now, this kind of ties into people being maybe a little more friendly up there. It's part of the culture. And there aren't a lot of cultural differences that I see between different parts of Thailand. I think there's been enough. I think maybe 100 years ago there were bigger differences, but there's been enough travel and mixing of people that it's pretty much all just the same everywhere. But I do think there are a few things that I like that are a little different up there in ISAN. They do seem a little bit more tied into their culture. And what I mean by that is these like traditional performances, things like that. You'll see them a lot more often up in ISAN. They're still popular here in Bangkok. You'll see them at festivals, whatever. They'll do dancing or whatever, performances. You'll see them. But when I go to ISAN, I see them a lot more often. And I will go up to ISAN at just random times. In fact, I may go up there next month. I go up there just random times, and there might be some performance going on. They might be doing something. So they just seem more tied into their culture than in a lot of other parts of Thailand. And again, it may be, once again, because they don't have a lot of cities, so they're kind of more traditional. It's kind of rural, countryside, more traditional. But even when it comes to their music, they have a certain type of a xylophone, which comes from northern Thailand, which is from the ISAN area. I believe it's called a ponglang. I'm not sure about that name. But I saw that played in America at a Songkran festival in New York City. And I thought it was really cool. So I asked my Thai friend what that was, and he told me, and he said it comes from ISAN area. And I have seen it played at some of these festivals and things in ISAN. So even their music, their traditional music, I kind of like their instruments. I think it's kind of cool. And you get a chance to see it more often in ISAN because, like I said, they do these festivals and things a lot more often. Okay, so is there anything I don't like about ISAN? Okay, first of all, I don't like udon thani. I already told you I don't like the big cities where there are a lot of farangs. And in the second part of our program, because I want to give a little bit more background to that, I will explain why there are so many farangs in udon. Because even a lot of Thai people may not know the history there, so they may not know why there are so many farangs there. I mean, it's a city, there's going to be more farangs, right? Okay, yeah. But there seem to be... I mean, Udon is not... I mean, it is a big city, but it's not giant. It's not like Bangkok or Chiang Mai. It's also not a beach city like Pattaya or Phuket. So why are there so many farangs in that city? There's actually a reason. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in the second part of the program. So that's one thing I don't like about ISAN. Not a fan of udon thani. And some of the food to me is not... Now, this is only partially true. It's only some of the food. There are other foods that I actually really like. But, for example, because it's so close to Laos, especially if you're in northern ISAN, you can get Lao bread. Really, it's just a French baguette. That's really all it is. But I like it. It's good. You can get Lao bread up there. So, it's not all the food in ISAN that I don't like. But sausage seems to be more popular in ISAN than in a lot of other parts of Thailand. Again, yes, we have it everywhere in Thailand. I get it. Sausage is popular everywhere. Here's the problem. Western sausage that we have, like in America or Italy, Italian sausage is very popular, or Germany. Germany has many different kinds of sausage that they're known for. Western sausage is very different from Asian sausage. It's basically the same thing as far as how it's made, but some of the extra ingredients are different. In most Asian sausages, for example, they add sugar or something sweet. Now, it doesn't taste really sweet. It's not like eating candy, so you do eat it with like normal meals. It's not a dessert food. But for a Westerner, it does taste really sweet because our sausage is generally spicy. And that's also kind of a very weird thing. Usually a lot of Asian food is spicy and Western food is sweet. This is a sausage. It's like the other way around. And for my taste, I just have never gotten used to it. I've never gotten used to it. So I really don't like any of the different sausages from Asia. I've tried them many times because I like sausage. I would like to like them, but no, I don't like any Asian sausages. And in ISAN, it tends to be a bigger thing than in the rest of Thailand. So it's not all of the food in ISAN that I'm not a big fan of, but some of the things, more so in ISAN than in other parts of Thailand. So that's one of the only bad things I would say about ISAN is some of the food. So udon and some food are things that I don't like. Okay, so that's kind of the basic background there. Now in the second part of our program, we will get into more of the details. All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick break. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so for today's topic, we are talking about ISAN and why it is my favorite part of Thailand. So in the first part of the episode, we talked about people, the nature, the weather, and the culture being why I like ISAN so much. Now, keep in mind, some of these things will apply to other areas as well. There's lots of nature in a lot of places in Thailand. Thailand actually is one of the only countries in the world where the percentage of the land that is considered forest has actually increased. Most of the world, as the population increases, you need space for more houses and things like that, so they cut down trees to build houses. Here in Thailand, well, our population is not going up that quickly because we have a pretty low birth rate, which creates problems for other reasons with an aging population and whatever. So this is not, that part of it is not necessarily a good thing because that can create some problems. But the population is still going up. So our population is increasing, and yet we're not really spreading out much. And one of the reasons is because we tend to be building more tall buildings here in Bangkok and in the other cities. So what's happening is we're making space upwards instead of building out. And that's actually very good for the environment because you don't have to cut down trees, you don't have to take away the habitats, like that's where people live, the habitats of the animals. You don't have to take away their habitats. And that can create problems even for people. For example, you see sometimes those crazy videos of like snakes coming up people's toilets. That usually happens on the outskirts of Bangkok because that's where we're starting to get intruding into the animals' territory. So there's more animals there, including snakes and things like that. So yes, there's lots of nature all over Thailand. So you have to think of these things that I mentioned, the people, the nature, the weather, the culture. You have to think of these things all together for why I prefer ISAN. Okay, so let's get into some more of the details. One of the things I want to explain is kind of a little bit of the background on Udon Thani, because some of you may not know why there are so many Farangs there. I mean, it's a city. You expect a lot of Farangs living there, but it seems like there's more there than you might expect. Bangkok, you can understand. Chiang Mai has kind of become a popular place, so you can kind of understand that. you can understand the beaches, Pattaya, Phuket. But why Udon Thani? That's a weird place. Okay, so the background of Udon Thani is that it used to be like the military headquarters of the whole country during the Vietnam War. And because we lost the war, it doesn't get talked about much here. So you may not know that history because we lost. I say we because Thailand was on America's side. We were trying to fight to keep the communists out of Vietnam. And, you know, we have a funny saying about how the winner gets to write the history books. It's very much the case in Vietnam because America is really painted to be the bad guys in Vietnam. We were helping support the government of South Vietnam. It was a legitimate government. Some people may say, well, it was not really legitimate because the French put them in place and whatever, but it doesn't, that sort of doesn't matter because it wasn't, it would not have otherwise been the government that was from the North. And to say that the government that was in North Vietnam was truly representing the Vietnamese people would also be false because they were being supported also by foreign powers, by communists. I believe it was from, I want to say China. In different parts of Southeast Asia, it was more Chinese influence. In other places, it was more Russian. I believe in Cambodia, it was more Russia. But I believe in Vietnam, it was more China. So they were being influenced by China. So, I mean, I'm not defending the war either because of the way America got involved in it. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have been. So whatever. People can argue about that war forever. But no matter what you think about the war, Thailand was on our side, the American side. So we were allies together. And so what happened was every time it was time for a break, because the soldiers got breaks too sometimes. They would get little mini vacations. And a lot of times they got to travel, got to leave Vietnam. So when they left Vietnam, sometimes they might go to the Philippines, but a lot of times they would also come here to Thailand because Thailand was an ally. And because Udon Thani was basically the main military base, that's where they would go. So there was a big military population there of Americans. I shouldn't say population like they were living there. But they would travel there. And so there were a lot of Americans that then became familiar with and even fell in love with Udon Thani. And so when these people got old and retired, a lot of them decided, hey, they'll come back to Thailand and retire in Udon Thani. And that's why there are a lot of old white Americans in Udon Thani. Because a lot of these people are still alive today, right? If you think about when the Vietnam War was, these people would be, they were young adults when they were fighting. So they would be about 20 years old in 1970-ish. Could be a little bit before then, could be a little after that, given the number of years that the Vietnam War lasted. But around 1970-ish, they would be maybe about 20 years old. Okay, so if you do the math on that, that's 55 years ago. They would be 75. So lots of them still alive. Getting kind of old, but lots of them still alive. And some of them would be even younger than that. Maybe they were 18 when they went to serve, and maybe they didn't serve until 1971 or 1972, which would be like right near the end of the war. But maybe they didn't serve until then. So they could be as young as like 70. Some of them are probably 80, 85. So yeah, some of them have. So yes, some of them have started dying, and there are fewer and fewer of them now. But there are still lots and lots and lots of them still alive. And so that's why you see a lot of old white Americans in Udon Thani. There are a lot of Vietnam War veterans that have retired in Udon. I think the number is probably going down because, again, they're starting to get quite old, and so some of them have started dying, or maybe before they die they want to move back to America because they may have family there. So they may not spend their entire retirement in Udon. But that's why Udon has so many Farangs there. It's because of the relationship to the Vietnam War. Okay, so enough about Udon. That is the place I don't like in Isan. that is my least favorite place. So what is my favorite place in Isan? My favorite place in Isan is Nong Khai. Why? Okay, several reasons. First of all, it's about as far north as you can get in Isan. The further north you get, the cooler the weather can get in the winter. I mean, it still doesn't usually get very cool. It's Thailand. The entire country is inside of the tropics. Even the furthest north places up in the northwest, in the hill country, up north of Chiang Mai, it's still all in the tropics. It doesn't get very cold. But it can get cool for a short time in the winter. One of my first times up there, actually, after I purchased a condo — I do own a condo up in Nong Khai because it is my favorite place, and it's relatively inexpensive. I cannot afford a condo here in Bangkok, so I have a condo up in Nong Khai, which is quite inexpensive. And one of my first times going up there after I bought the condo — I had been there many times, which is why I knew I wanted to buy the condo there. But one of my first times going back up there after I bought the condo was at the end of December. This would probably have been, was it 2018 that I bought the condo in? I think probably 2018. So end of December of 2018. And it was, I want to say 7 degrees, somewhere between 6 and 8 degrees Celsius when I was up there. That was, of course, the low temperature in the morning. By the time you get to the afternoon, it was quite warm. But it can get quite cool up there. In fact, the all-time record low, well, in all of Thailand, is actually below freezing, but that's at the top of a mountain. The all-time record low up in that area, it is a little west of there, and it is outside of Isan. It's in Chiang Rai, which I don't think Chiang Rai is part of Isan. I think that's considered over in the northwest part. But it's close enough. Same kind of general area of Thailand. And their record low is like 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. In fact, there is a recorded event in I think it's 55. It could be 1957. There was somewhere in the mid-1950s where they actually might have had snow in Chiang Rai. It isn't officially recorded as snow, and it is the only time it's been observed. So officially, it has actually never snowed ever in Thailand, the whole country, ever. And I think this actually was not snow. I think it was hail. But this is something I've actually seen in America. You can get really tiny hailstones with a very weak thunderstorm in the cold part of the year. It's hard to get thunderstorms when it's cold out, but it does sometimes happen. And so I have seen that before. And so it was probably just really, really, really small hail related to a thunderstorm. But it was, at the time, only 2 degrees Celsius in Shanghai. And it was enough to cover the ground. And because of the hail was so small, it did kind of look like snow. I think it probably wasn't snow. And it is not, like I said, it is not officially recorded as snow. But it's possible that it was. So it might have snowed one time up there. And the fact that it's even maybe tells you that, yes, it can get quite cold. And it can. Like I said, the record low up there is close to freezing. So that's very cold for Thailand. And I actually like that. I like the different seasons, the fact that it can get cool. So that's another reason I like Nong Khai. It's one of the furthest north places you can get. In the northwest and in the hills, you can get a little further north, yes. I also love Nong Khai because it is close to the Laos border. I really like Laos. It's my second favorite country in Southeast Asia. My partner is from Laos. In fact, he's from Vientiane, which is right across the border. He actually spends a lot of time in Thailand now. In fact, he's in Thailand right now. And actually, he's taking care of some business, so he is up in Nong Khai. My partner right now is in Nong Khai as I am recording this program. So I like the fact that it's close to Laos. I do like pretty much all the countries that surround Thailand. I've never been to Malaysia, but I've been to Myanmar. As I said in the first part of the program, been to Myanmar, been to Cambodia, been to Laos. But Laos is my second favorite. So I like that Nong Khai is right there. So I can visit Laos almost any time I want. And another reason I like Nong Khai is that it is just big enough of a city so that it has enough farangs so that there are some Western-style restaurants there. Not a lot. Most of them right along the riverfront area there. It's right down the Mekong River. But there are a few. And I did tell you that one of the only things I don't like about ISAN is some of the food. Some of it's okay. I can find plenty of stuff I like. If I go to a Thai restaurant in ISAN, there's plenty of stuff I like. But sometimes it's nice to enjoy some Western-style food. And there's just enough of a Farang population in Nong Khai. It's just big enough that it has some of those restaurants. In fact, one of my favorite restaurants up there is an Irish restaurant. So they have some good restaurants up there. Good places to eat. But it's also just small enough so that it is mostly just Thai culture, mostly just Thai people. It's just kind of that one area right near the river where there are a fair number of Farangs. I like to go walking and running. Sometimes I don't do as much now because I have some problems with my feet and my ankles, but I do like to go walking and running a lot. And so I've been all around that area, and you only have to go like 1 kilometer and you're out in the countryside outside of Nong Khai. You don't have to go very far at all. You go like 1 kilometer and you're out in the middle of nowhere. And of course, in those areas, there are very few Farangs, so it's just 100% Thai just about once you get out past like 1 kilometer outside of Nong Khai. So I really like that about Nong Khai. Just enough of a population there that you've got some big stores, you've got some Western-style restaurants, you have all the conveniences that you need, but it's small enough that it certainly is not a big city. It's not a big city at all. In fact, I have been told, I'm not sure if this is true, but I think it is from the research I've done, that the condo I own there is the only condo building in all of Nong Khai. They have other apartments, sure. But as far as condo buildings, it's the only one. Okay, and the last thing I like about Nong Khai is that, well, it's something I don't like now, but I hopefully will like in the future, is that it should be easy to get to. Right now, it's not easy to get to. They have no airport. So you either have to take the train, take a bus, or fly into Udon and then take a van, which is what I normally do. It's the fastest way. The bus and the train take a long time. So I usually fly to Udon and take a van. But there is supposed to be a high-speed rail coming, and it should be coming soon. So you can now, well, not now, but you should be soon able to take a train to Nong Khai and have it take much less time than it does now to take the train. Right now, it's just kind of the normal slow train. I'm not sure when the train is supposed to be done. I think it was already supposed to be done by now, and it is finished on the Lao side because it's a project that China is involved in, and so they're helping. So they want to connect all the way from China down to, I don't know if it goes all the way down to Malaysia or not. It should, because I think they're trying to connect like basically all of mainland Asia. So it should go all the way down to Malaysia, but I don't know if it does. And so I know it's being built, and it's being built kind of northward, and it has not gotten up to Nong Khai yet. So I don't know when they plan to complete it. I think it was already supposed to be done by now, but then COVID kind of got in the way, and everything got behind schedule. But soon, that should be in place. And so that's another thing I like, is that getting there, at least in the future, should be easier. That may also be good for me for the condo I own. The value may go up. It's one of the reasons I bought it. So far, it hasn't gone up at all because it's still kind of hard to get to Nong Khai, and we have some vacant units in the condo, so there's too much availability. But the easier it is to get to Nong Khai, maybe more people will be interested, more people will buy, and then the value might go up. So lots of reasons why I like Nong Khai. So Nong Khai, again, is my favorite city in the whole area of ISAN. And ISAN is my favorite area of Thailand. And again, it's because of the people, the nature, the weather, and the culture. And as I mentioned, yes, you can find all of those other places in Thailand, and usually it's quite nice. The nature especially, you can find that almost anywhere in Thailand, and there's a lot of it, and it's beautiful. But it's just this combination of all of these things, which is why I really like ISAN. And again, Nong Khai is my favorite city in ISAN. My favorite city in ISAN. Very few things I do not like. I mentioned that I'm not a fan of udon thani. No, don't really like it. And I also mentioned that some of the food I don't like. Some of the food I do like. The food is fine in ISAN, but there's a little more focus on sausage, as I mentioned. And I don't really like Asian-style sausage. It's too sweet. It's too sweet. It's not what I look for in my sausage. Okay. So that is why I love ISAN, my favorite part of Thailand. Thank you for joining us for today's An American in Thailand program. Please stay with us and tune back in next week for another interesting episode. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.